Good afternoon, everyone. The American people desperately want an economy that is affordable for hard-working taxpayers. Donald Trump and House Republicans promised that costs would go down in the United States of America. Costs aren't going down, they're going up. They certainly have not gone down on day one, as Republicans promised the American people. Inflation is on the way up, life is getting more expensive, and Donald Trump and House Republicans are driving the economy off of a cliff. Donald Trump and House Republicans have done nothing, not a single thing, to make life more affordable for hardworking American taxpayers. The one big ugly law will do nothing to meaningfully address the cost of living crisis that we have in this country. In fact, the one big ugly law will make life more expensive for everyday Americans, particularly as it relates to utility bills in this country. Utility bills are going to go up as a result of the actions that have been taken by Donald Trump and Republicans. More than 17 million people are going to lose their health care as a result of the action taken by Donald Trump and Republicans. Children, veterans, and seniors who are hungry are going to lose their nutritional assistance as it relates to the actions taken by Donald Trump and House Republicans connected to the one big ugly law. And all of this has been done to reward billionaires with massive tax breaks, and at the same time, skyrocket and explode the debt by more than $3 trillion. It's unconscionable what Donald Trump and House Republicans have done to hurt the American people. The job of those of us who are in public service should be at all times to make life better for everyday Americans, to improve the quality of life for the American people, to ensure, as Democrats are focused on, that when you work hard and play by the rules in the United States of America, you should be able to afford to live the good life. Good paying job, good housing, good health care, good education for your children, and a good retirement. That's the American dream, and far too many people are unable to achieve it, even though they're working hard and playing by the rules. Republicans haven't made it easier to achieve the American dream. They are making it harder for everyday Americans, and that's a shame. Questions?
Mr. Leader, good morning. Good afternoon, I should say.
Good to see you.
Do you expect any delay tactics tonight to try to stall this? You set a record with a speech just a couple of weeks ago.
Well, it's not clear what the challenges are right now in terms of why Republicans have been unable to bring these bills to the floor so we can actually debate them and lay out for the American people why their efforts to slash and burn funding is going to hurt public health, public safety, and the dissemination of public information to places like small towns and rural America. That's going to be the impact of the rescissions package. And so, as of the moment, we're just looking forward to an active and robust debate on the House floor so we can lay out for the American people why Republicans continue to take steps to hurt them as opposed to helping them.
So not anticipating a magic minute like you did a couple of weeks ago?
I do expect to participate in the debate, and I expect that I will speak longer than a minute.
Mr. Leader, Thank you, Mr. Leader. I want to get your reaction to comments that OMB Director Russ Vought made at a breakfast with reporters this morning when he said that he didn't think that the appropriations process should be bipartisan going forward. Do you agree with that? What are your comments on the appropriations process if this rescissions package passes? Do you think that that hurts the spirit of bipartisanship that you try to approach these negotiations with?
The Trump administration and House and Senate Republicans are trying to march America toward a painful government shutdown. That's the reality. We've known that to be the case, and now Russell Vought is saying the quiet part out loud, that the Trump administration has no interest in reaching a spending agreement in a bipartisan manner, which means, translation, they are determined to shut the government down and hurt the American people.
Just to be clear, are you considering a possible speech that would be long enough to mean the deadline for passing rescissions tomorrow night could pass?
I'm surprised how much attention the Magic Minute is generating at this particular point in time.
Well, the fate of all this money could come to that.
I think Democrats are going to continue to fight hard and do everything we can to make sure that we are pushing back aggressively against this rescissions package, which is going to hurt the American people.
Speaker Johnson's reportedly considering putting a non-binding resolution on the floor, calling for the release of all the files related to Jeffrey Epstein. Would that be satisfactory at this moment, or do you think Democrats at this point need to see something like the Kana amendment, which would actually force the release of those documents?
The Kana amendment is the most appropriate step that can be taken in order to provide the American people with the transparency they deserve in terms of this whole sordid, scandalous, and corrupt Jeffrey Epstein matter. This is very simple. The American people simply need to know the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth as it relates to this situation. Democrats didn't put this into the public domain. The conspiracy theory provocateur in chief, Donald Trump, is the one, along with his extreme MAGA Republican associates, who put this whole thing into the public domain for years. And now they are reaping what they have sown.
On that same topic, do you expect all Democrats to be signing on to the discharge petition to release Epstein information?
It's my understanding that the discharge petition may not even ripen until after we return from the August district work period. So let's take one step at a time. And the most important thing that can be done at this moment is for Congress to act in a bipartisan way to demand that the American people get the transparency that they deserve. What is the Trump administration hiding from the American people? That's the question that needs to be answered.
What are you hoping to learn from your meeting, provided it happens tomorrow, with Assemblyman Mamdani? And on top of that, Republicans are certainly trying to cast him as a liability for Democrats. Do you see him as such?
We're going to have a very robust discussion in the event that we are able to proceed tomorrow, but at some point shortly thereafter, if we are not, about quality of life issues important to the people that I represent in the 8th Congressional District in New York, related to affordability, safety, and the ability to make sure that New York City remains a place that working families, middle-class folks, and all those who aspire to be part of the middle class can continue to call home. At the same period of time, I do look forward to having a conversation with our Democratic nominee about the importance of everyone being on the same page in terms of taking back control of the House of Representatives in 2026.
On the issue of redistricting, you were asked a couple days ago about whether governors in blue states should draw mid-decade lines to counter the efforts in Texas and North Carolina. You would defer to those governors. Since then, Gavin Newsom has come out pretty strongly and said he's ready to pull the trigger and do that to counter what's going on in Texas. Given that development, can you weigh in a little bit more? Do you think it's a good idea, a bad idea? Does it set a bad precedent? And are you in discussions with the governor about doing that very thing?
It's all options on the table at this moment because of the existential threat that Republicans have posed to the health, safety, and economic well-being of the American people. As Democrats, we just want fair maps across the country. And to the extent that governors in different states throughout the nation conclude that a reevaluation as to whether their current maps are as fair as possible should take place, that certainly is a decision that makes sense to me in this environment.
The House is expected to vote on a trio of crypto bills later today or perhaps tomorrow. I'm just wondering if you know yet how you'll be planning to vote, because I know Democratic leaders aren't planning to whip those bills.
I certainly will make a decision about all three bills in advance of me arriving on the floor of the House of Representatives. We, as you have pointed out, have made the decision not to whip those bills, and so every single member, myself included, are evaluating the individual merits of each of those pieces of legislation to determine what makes the most sense for the communities that we're privileged to represent.
And relatedly, with the defense bill, the total defense spending this year is going to be at or above $1 trillion for the first time. I'm wondering if you have any specific concerns about the spending there, allocations, if you think it should, be different in any significant ways.
Here's the thing about Donald Trump, House Republicans, and the GOP. These are people who have for years claimed to be the party of fiscal responsibility. They're not the party of fiscal responsibility. These people are reckless and irresponsible as it relates to taxpayer dollars. The Republicans just passed this one big ugly law that explodes the debt and the deficit and is leading America down a path of potential economic disaster and bankruptcy as a result of Republicans jamming this extreme partisan bill down the throats of the American people. We clearly have to get our fiscal house in order, but it is certainly the case that Republicans have zero credibility as it relates to spending taxpayer dollars in a manner that is efficient, effective, and equitable. Politics, at the end of the day, is about the management of public money. And the one thing that is clear right now is that Republicans have determined to manage that money in a way that hurts everyday Americans and rewards billionaires with massive tax breaks. And they clearly are also in the business of rewarding their donors and special interests that they feel will serve their political interests, but that we know undermine the public interest. Last question?
Thank you, Leader. A new report came out a couple months ago saying that Social Security funds, as well as some other entitlement programs, may be on, at risk of losing money sooner than expected. What do you think the Democrats' strategy should be to save those programs from solvency? Is it just simply taxing the rich, or are there other strategies that you have?
Well, let me first make the observation that Social Security and Medicare are not entitlement programs. Republicans call them entitlement programs because they believe, these extremists, that they're entitled to cut them. Social Security and Medicare are earned benefits. hardworking American taxpayers pay into those programs through the FICA tax every single working day of their lives. They've earned those benefits. They've paid into those benefits. They deserve their Social Security and Medicare benefits. By the way, in this one big ugly law, it is likely to trigger more than $500 billion in cuts to Medicare, which is extraordinary. And we know the Republicans also have put Social Security on the chopping block. The 60th anniversary of Medicare and Medicaid is going to take place on July 30th, and House Democrats will have a Medicare Matters and Medicaid Matters Day of Action, talking about our efforts to both protect and strengthen Medicare and Medicaid and push back against the dramatic cuts to Medicaid that were part of the one big ugly law. A few weeks after that, on August 7th, I believe, that is the 90th anniversary of Social Security. And we'll be having a Save Social Security Day of Action. And we'll have more to say about that as we approach it. But certainly, I'm greatly appreciative of the effort of leaders like John Larson and Richie Neal, who have previously put forth legislation, Social Security 2100 Act, that is an important part of our strategy to both protect Social Security and strengthen Social Security. There's a big difference between Democrats and Republicans. And we are going to continue to fight for everyday Americans, for children, for veterans, for farmers, for hardworking American families, and for older Americans, which means our message to Republicans will continue to be clear. Keep your hands off of Social Security and Medicare. Thank you.
Did you grade the Mike Brown hire?
I'm cautiously optimistic.
I'm gonna back live. You're not gonna beat it right